Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today I am doing What If Naruto Was an Uchiha Part 3. If you guys like my content at all, could you guys subscribe? It means a lot to me. Yeah, thank you for all the new subscribers, and I'm gonna get into the video now. So yeah, we left off the last video with Naruto and Sasuke, with Itachi Kisame staring at Naruto and Sasuke as the teams trying to catch Itachi and Kisame arrived. Those teams were Kakashi with Sakura, Menma and Mito, and Asuma with Team 10. So, there's a three-way deadlock, basically. Naruto and Sasuke are sitting on the bench, and they look up at Itachi. Naruto is reading a book. It's just gonna be some random book. Sasuke's just staring there at Itachi. Then the teams arrive, and Menma begins to yell, "I told you you couldn't run." And Naruto looks over at him and starts shaking his head like he's an idiot. Naruto then keeps his book open and just keeps on reading it. Menma asks why he's being so disrespectful, and Naruto says that the fight is between them, and then points over to the Akatsuki members. And Kisame is starting to pull out Samehara because he wants to kill them. Really badly. Naruto then closes his book to watch the main action as Itachi gets into a fighting stance. Kakashi, knowing that they're outgunned, tells his team to start retreating. He tells Asuma that they can't take these guys. And Asuma begins to nod his head that it'd be extremely difficult and it wouldn't be a logical thing. And Asuma and Kakashi both know, as well as Shikamaru, that they cannot take these guys. They will lose. So Shikamaru says that they should probably retreat and let them get away. And then Menma says, what about revenge for the people at the temple? Menma says it's better to Menma begins to say, what about revenge for the people at the fire temple? Shikamaru then says that the people that died there would much rather have us live to fight another day against these guys than have us die and have more casualties. And anyways, we're drastically outgunned. We're facing a number of the 7 deadly swordsmen of the mist and Itachi. So we should probably just retreat. And as Shikamaru starts turning around to retreat. And then Menma says this is all because you're lazy. And Naruto and Sasuke are having a laugh at them right now. And Shikamaru points over at Naruto and Sasuke. He says, even if we could take on them, what about those two? And Menma says that he could take Naruto. Naruto then starts bursting out in laughter. So does Sasuke. And Kakashi, honestly, his head falls down. He says aloud, why do I have to be on a team with it? Why do I have to be the joining of a bunch of idiots? So yeah. Naruto and Sasuke begin to watch as what's his name? Kakashi pulls out his Sharingan. Naruto is excited to see this matchup. The fights are gonna be Itachi versus Kakashi, and Kisame versus whatever his name is. Kisame versus Asuma. And the Akatsuki is their fight's gonna start. It's gonna be a pretty one-sided fight. Kisame is gonna be destroying Asuma. And I'm not gonna have Asuma killed. I can't kill him. That death was so sad. And Team Guy will be sent out as reinforcements, and Menma is gonna eventually charge at Naruto. Since Menma has developed sort of a thing where he's like, if Naruto's not gonna come back to the village, I'll just take him back by force. So he's kind of developed an obsession with Naruto. Naruto, not even looking up from his book, dodges Memo's attack. This is when Team Guy arrives, and Naruto tells Sasuke that they should get going, since the situation isn't looking well. But Team Guy, Kakashi tells Guy to catch Naruto and Sasuke. They catch them both. Well, Team Guy does it by themselves. Guy goes to help him, and a few other Jonin came with Guy, and they all surround Naruto and Sasuke. Now the fight is looking in the Leaf's favor against Itachi and Kisame. Well, at least against Kisame. Itachi and Kakashi are basically equals right now. The Jonin surround Naruto and Sasuke as they begin to stand up. And there's like 5 Jonin here. Naruto just looks at Sasuke and says, "Oh, this will be a waste of time." Sasuke says, "Yeah, I'm surprised the Hokage didn't just come himself." Then Naruto pulls out a tag and says, "Let's just be sure." And the tag basically is like a seal, and he places it on Sasuke. And then he removes it. And then he places it on himself. And they ask, Mema asks what the tag does. Naruto says the tag can get rid of flying rising marks. And Mema is like, "But those stay on forever." And Naruto says, "Yes, unless you seal them away." And then Naruto touches Sasuke's shoulder, and he says, and there's a flying rising mark on it. Sasuke says, "Okay." And then he touches Naruto's, and there's a flying rising. So both of them know the flying rising, they just rarely use it. And yeah, this is when Obito's gonna arrive. Obito is gonna say that he is Madara Uchiha, which Itachi isn't surprised about, and they leap back to him. Obito decided to make his entrance here, claiming that he was Madara, just because it would be like more efficient. And Obito would then tell Itachi and Kisame to deal with the other Leaf Shinobi, that they're gonna take out these guys. That he's gonna watch the fights. And Deidara is also gonna arrive, but Toby's he's still gonna act like Toby, because he's gonna tell Deidara to go help. Toby's gonna say that he wants to watch the fights, and Deidara says, "Fine, just stay out of my way." And Deidara decides to work with Itachi because he wants to show Itachi that he's better than him. So the Jonin are gonna, with Mema and Mito and Guy's team, are gonna leap in Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto's gonna activate his Mangekyo and use Tsukiyomi. All the ones that looked in his eyes, if they ever looked in his eyes, are gonna just fall to the ground unconscious. And they're gonna say Tsukiyomi. One of them's gonna say Tsukiyomi before he drops down. This leaves only like a few members of Guy's team, like Neji and Menma. Then Naruto turns over to Menma, and he just stares at him. Menma says, "I ain't no bitch. I'm gonna look at you dead in the eyes." And this is when Menma starts feeling a sharp pain in his stomach, and he realizes that he's inside of a genjutsu, and he tries to break it, but this genjutsu is extremely difficult. Naruto states to Menma that he's gonna feel a whole month of torture in a second in the real world. And the month of torture happens, and Menma drops down. He's basically out of it. Mito is gonna start trying to run away, but then Sasuke's gonna blitz in front of her and knock her out, since they don't feel like killing any of the Leaf Shinobi yet. And then Neji's gonna be there. Neji's gonna say that they may be prodigies of the Uchiha, but since the Hyuga clan is better. But before he can even finish, Naruto's gonna stab him in the stomach and knock him down. Not in the stomach where he'll die, but if he doesn't get medical attention quick enough, he will die. And yeah, Naruto and Sasuke will begin to walk off. But then, once they get out of view, Toby will approach them and say that he is Madara Uchiha. Naruto and Sasuke both pull out their blades. And Madara begins to look confused. And they said that they dislike Madara because he was the one that started the mistreatment of the Uchiha clan. And Madara began to state that it was not his fault, it was the village's. Naruto began to ask how they can trust him. And behind them, they hear, something. They feel like a dense chakra. And Naruto says that he has to go deal with something. And Naruto and Sasuke both look behind him, with Toby standing there, looking really stupid. And this is gonna be, Menma. Menma is gonna be in his 5 tails form. And Naruto says, my oh my, this is bad. We can't have the 9 tails taking over him, can we? And Obito says, no, we can't. And then Madara begins to talk. Like, Menma isn't even there. And the 9 tails, hearing Madara's name, charges at the masked man. And Naruto and Sasuke both jump out of the way. Since the 9 tails doesn't really care about Naruto and Sasuke, he just wants to kill Madara. And Obito just lets the 9 tails phase through him. But then the 9 tails begins to state that he's not Madara. His fighting style is too different for you to be Madara. Madara states that after his battle with Hashirama, his fighting style had to change because he couldn't fight the same way. The 9 tails began to ask where his scythe was, and the purple thing that he used during the war. I forget what it was, but yeah, that thing. Nobito pulled out a scroll and summoned both of them, and said that he doesn't fight with them anymore since it feels unnecessary to him. And also he likes this ability that he has, since it allows him to stay undercover. Yeah, the 9 tails then looks over at those two and says, I don't care about you two brats. Naruto says I wouldn't call him, that he's not a brat, and that 9 tails then begins to look over at them and says he respects them for wanting to destroy the village, since he also hates humans. And this piques Obito's interest. And he says, so do you want to destroy it? And Naruto said he just wanted to kill a few people in it, and then he didn't really care about the rest of the village. And Obito began to say that if they joined the Akatsuki would let them destroy the village and do as they please with it. And they'd also let them get the 9 tails Jinchuriki. Well, they'd have to capture the 9 tails Jinchuriki just for trust reasons. And Naruto and Sasuke both looked at each other. Both of them began to smile, realizing that if they had it, that if they joined this group, it could be very good in the future. So they said yes. But they said first things first, they're going to form a team real quickly to go deal with something. And this something is going to be to go deal with Danzo. They're going to track down Danzo. And Team Heavy will be formed with Soigetsu and them. They also start wearing the Akatsuki robes since they're doing Akatsuki business. They will also be the team that is assigned to go after the 4th B, but yeah, they're doing that a bit later. And yeah, they end up finding Danzo and they kill him. And then, they're just gonna leave his body in the Hokage's office. Then they're gonna say, we're heading to the Cloud Village. Say that this man is dead. And Naruto then begins to look. Minato is very scared, and he says that they need to head out to the Cloud Village. Jiraiya at this time will be heading out to go, Jiraiya will be leaving the, what's it called? The village a bit later here, since the Akatsuki thing, like, the whole timeline's messed up. So while Obito is talking, the Leaf Village escaped with Asuma barely surviving, and Asuma's gonna say to Kakashi that he thinks he's tired of this fighting. Like, fighting for the Leaf Village, he's ran out of his will of fire. So he's gonna quit. But anyways, he has a kid. He wants to raise it, and Kakashi nods his head, saying that he is kind of getting fed up with it. And I'm overhearing this asks why. Kakashi says it's things that Memo wouldn't understand. And Memo is quiet, since he was just humiliated, got taken over by the Nine Tails. Then Naruto put a stop to it. And, yeah. So Naruto put a stop to it. Then they just continued talking as the Leaf Village retreated. And Naruto let them have him, since he had no interest in it, and the Akatsuki had no interest in it. And, yeah. They go kill Danzo, and now they're going off to get the 8 Tails. And they said 8 Tails in their note, just because they wanted the Leaf Village to show up, so that way they could embarrass them some more. And Minato immediately thought of the Raikage, so he immediately headed out with, his family, basically, with Kushina, him, Menma, Mito, and Tsunade. Jiraiya can't come because he's gonna be the Rain Village, since he said he'd go since he's the best at stealth. Yeah. Yeah, so Menma, so their team's they're gonna reach the cloud border, and the Cloud Shinobi are gonna ask what they're trying to do here. And Minato said that he needs to have a talk with the Raikage about something. And the guy said give him a minute. And the Raikage said sure, they can talk. He doesn't really care, because he wants to talk to Minato about the Akatsuki, if he has anything to do with it. And they're probably going to call 5 Kage Summit soon, so yeah. Minato is going to walk in to Raikage's office and ask where the 8 Tails Jinchuriki is. And the Raikage is going to say off training. This is going to be when Naruto and Sasuke begin to make their move on the 8 Tails Jinchuriki. Each of them will gang up on Killer Bee and take him out pretty quickly. And they will be the real one. But yeah, then Naruto will begin to walk away with Sasuke, and that will be when Mito and the 4th Raikage came in. And the Raikage seeing this he's infuriated right now. Dorui and that sensory guy will also be here. But yeah, this is when a fight is gonna take place. The fight is gonna be pretty one-sided. The fight's gonna start. Suigetsu is gonna say that that's the 4th Raikage and 4th Hokage. And Naruto says that he'll take the Hokage and the Leaf people. And tells Sasuke to just get out of here. And tells them to get out of here. Him and Sasuke will cover them. And the Raikage, everyone from the Cloud Village looks dumbfounded. Like, why would you leave the team? And the sensory guy is the one to ask. And Naruto begins to state that they don't really need that it was just because, why not fight some stronger people? And this is when the Raikage says, are you underestimating me? And Naruto begins to say, no, I'm just doing what I think will be the best outcome for my goals. And then him and Sasuke, Naruto pulls out his sword. And he basically readies for battle. Sasuke does the same. Then they both blitz at the people. Naruto goes after the Leaf Shinobi. This battle's going to be high-paced, with Menma, Mito, and Kushina barely being able to do anything, and Naruto is going to town on Minato. Menma is trying to keep up and save his dad, but Naruto just keeps on kicking him away. Naruto and Minato are going really quickly and using a lot of high speed jutsus. And Naruto is beating Minato right now. Like, he's trying, but not really trying. Like, Naruto could probably hold his own against the two Kage right now, but not beat them. That's his strength right now. So, yeah. But then Sasuke begins to say, Sasuke is also going to town on the Raikage, but his fight is a lot harder. Like, he's actually losing his fight. Because he has to fight Darui as well, who is another Kage level fighter. You could say, yeah, I'd say Darui is a Kage level fighter. So he's losing his fight right now, and the Raikage hates him. So yeah, Naruto seeing this, jumps back and tells Sasuke to get going, that he'll hold him off for a bit. Then he'll Flying Rising to him. Then Naruto puts this seal on himself, saying that all the hits Minato got to use the Flying Rising are now erased. And everyone looks dumbfounded, since the Raikage says everyone knows the Flying Rising things can't be irreversible. And Naruto says, okay, Minato, teleport to me, because you were doing it during the fight. Minato says there's no Flying Rising mark there. And Minato tries teleporting to it, but it just teleports to a kunai behind Naruto. And everyone's shocked at this, since Minato definitely placed the seal on it. But Naruto would then begin to state that they should do more research, because it's fairly basic. It's a fairly basic sealing technique. And then Naruto begins to glow. His hair starts to rise, and his eyes are in his Mangekyo pattern. And everyone looks shocked, and then Naruto begins to say, this is... And Naruto just stares at them as something begins to glow, and a rib cage appears, and then stuff starts to peel over the rib cage. Oh, I forgot to cover his Susanoo. His Susanoo is gonna be like, his Susanoo is gonna be not green. It's gonna be black. Yeah, I think black would be pretty cool. Like a black Susanoo. It'd be like Sasuke's, but black. And Naruto would, nah, actually, I'm gonna make it be blue. Just like Madara's was blue, yeah. So yeah, his is gonna be blue, since Sasuke's was purple, yeah. So yeah, Naruto begins to glow, and then, next thing you note, there's a big, massive Susanoo. This Susanoo has a sword, and it's also gonna have a few kunai. So Naruto's Susanoo ability, actually, Sasuke's like the bow and arrow. Yeah. Like, the thing that he can do with his Susanoo, which is special. Like, Madara didn't really have one, but I'm gonna give him one. It's gonna be that Naruto can manifest things out of nowhere. And, I'm also gonna start, so he manifests a sword, basically out of Susanoo things. And, then he throws the sword down into the ground. And just thrusting the sword down into the ground is enough to make debris go flying at everyone. And then he picks the sword up and teleports away, leaving, well, no. He's not gonna pick the sword up, he's just gonna leave it and then teleport away, putting enough chakra, making the sword stay there forever. Naruto teleports to Sasuke in the group. Sasuke says, oh, I see you used your Susanoo. And Naruto says, yeah. and they all begin to retreat back to the extraction zone. It really pains me to kill Killer Bee, but I must. Minato will apologize to the Raikage, and the Raikage will say that they tried. Since the Raikage has respect for Minato for trying to help him save his brother, but he just couldn't do it. And the Raikage also states that they should have tightened the village security after they lost one Jinchuriki. The Raikage will have like a flashback to seeing when what was it, 2 Tails or 3 Tails? I think it was the 2 Tails. Yeah, 2 Tails, I think. Yeah, 2 Tails was killed. Like, he made it to the scene after Hidan and Kakuzu left. And he remembers seeing all the blood all over the place. And he really kind of starts feeling bad since that could have happened to Bee. And Minato assures him that they'll take care of this. And they're gonna call a 5 Kage summit at some point. But when Minato gets back to the village, it gets struck with more bad news that Jiraiya died. Menma is the saddest out of everyone, and he goes to Mount Miyaboku to learn Sage Mode. He learns it pretty quickly, but this time instead of Pain's still gonna assault, and Naruto's gonna get mad at Obito for letting Pain assault. But then he's gonna assure that no one died, that Pain betrayed them and such. Naruto began to just stare at him, and he said, "Oh well." So him and Sasuke both began to go check out the village. And they saw how crazy wrecked it was, and they looked at it, and they were like, ugh. Oh, I'm also gonna say, just for plot reasons, that the Akatsuki are still gonna die. Like, there's still gonna be only, like, Naruto, Sasuke, Kisame, Obito, Zetsu, and then Itachi. Itachi's gonna contract a chakra virus, and he's gonna go to Naruto and Sasuke and say goodbye to them, and then he's gonna die. Not like from his Sharingan, but different chakra virus. So yeah, there's only 5 members of the Akatsuki left. So yeah, Naruto and Sasuke then begin to head out to the Leaf Village to check it out. And when they see all the damage that was done by Pain, they begin to kind of start saying, I wonder how no one died. And Zetsu led them there, told them that Pain did the Rinne rebirth technique, bringing them all back to life. So yeah, Naruto and Sasuke kind of just roll their eyes at this, seeing as it was pretty stupid to do that. And then they both say, we'll just come back another day. And then they get news that there's a 5 Kage summit being called. Oh, and I'm gonna go do a flashback to the Pain assault. Menma will return to the village. He is strong enough to defeat Pain, just like Naruto was. The fight will look pretty similar to it did in the original, except Mito will step in. And I'm gonna actually start a ship here. On their way to the 5 Kage summit, they find this girl who has like the same ideas as them. She wants to overthrow corrupt governments, and Naruto's gonna kind of take a liking to her. Her name's gonna be, what should her name be? If you guys have any name ideas, tell me in the comments. And sorry for my dog barking. He barks at random things all the time. But yeah, if you guys have any name ideas, can you tell me? Because I have none for her. But yeah, so right now I'll call her just some random girl. And her and Naruto will get along a lot, being able to relate in their childhood. Seeing as both of their siblings will have, like, got a better life while they just got thrown away. And were told that they were failures and stuff like that. So yeah, both of them begin to bond a bit. And yeah, I think they're gonna be the ship. I started the ship way too late. But I didn't know who to ship Naruto with in Leaf Village. So yeah, she's gonna say that she'll come to the 5 Kage summit later with them. And she puts on a Akatsuki robe. She's not the most skilled. She's like she's like Tsunade level. She's skilled, but she's not Naruto level skilled. She's like high Jonin level skilled. So yeah, Team Heavy is stacked right now. They have Jugo, Soigetsu, Naruto, Sasuke, Karin, and the girl. I need to come up with a name. What's a good name? It's not Sakura. What's a good girl name? I don't know. If you guys have any names, tell me in the comments. Because I have none. But yeah. Then, Naruto and Sasuke both begin to, they begin to walk towards the 5 Kage summit. They'll actually enter in stealthy this time, putting the guards under a genjutsu, thinking that they aren't there, and then reporting that it's all clear. So yeah, and then their entrance is gonna be pretty sick. The 4th Raikage's guard is gonna say, someone's coming, and then he begins to say, they're here. And the Raikage looks at him, and all the guards jump down on the table, and they say, who? Mema is a part of Minato's guard force, so he begins to gather Sage Chakra, getting ready to enter Sage mode. And, the other person in his protection force is gonna be like Mito. It's gonna be Mema Mito, since he just really wants to spend time with them, and he knows that he'll need help defeating Naruto. And then there's gonna be a flash, and everyone's gonna be shocked because they couldn't see much of it. Onoki is gonna say, everyone's gonna be looking around, and then they're gonna say above. And on where the guards were sitting is going to be an entire team in Akatsuki robes. Well, it's going to be 3 people. It's going to be Naruto, it's going to be 5. Naruto, Sasuke, Soigetsu, Jugo, and the random girl. I can't think of a name. I need to find a name quickly. But yeah, all the Kage are going to stare there. And the Raikage is then going to stand up. And Darui is going to tell him, whisper in his ear, saying that he should maybe wait a bit and see if they want to talk about anything. Naruto sits down, and Onoki then asks what they want. And Naruto says he should know what they want. And Onoki looks confused. But Naruto says, oh, I was talking to Minato. And Minato is shitting his pants. Like, he is awfully scared, because if Naruto exposes all this, this could lose the Leaf's rank in the alliance that is going to be made. And Naruto says that he doesn't want the stupid Tsukiyomi plan to work. He doesn't care about that. The only thing that he wants is the tail beast to be taken away from the villages, since all they use them for is wars. And that all the villages are corrupt. And he looks over at Onoki. He says, you hired the Akatsuki, didn't you, to do your dirty work? And Onoki says, yes. He looks over to the Mist and said, you had a rebellion. You had a leader. Did you know that your leader was under a genjutsu? That's why your village is known as the Bloody Mist Village. And everyone's shocked at this. And then Naruto turns over to the Sand Village. He says, I don't really have anything to say with this one. And Guards kind of sighs, since Naruto says he never really researched the Sand Village. But he then turns to the Cloud Village. He said, you guys developed extremely high-level chakra ninjutsus to win wars, even though you should really be using those in this alliance, but you haven't. You're teaching people them. Then Naruto turns to Minato, and right now Minato is sweating buckets. And Naruto begins to stare at Minato. And Naruto begins to start pulling out a notebook. He says, and then he states, I had to pull out a notebook to remember all the things that I was going to state during this. And some of the Kage are like, their eyes go wide, because they did not know anything about the Leaf Village. And Naruto begins to say that this shows how bad the Kage's intel network is. And Naruto begins to say, rattle things off. He says, I am the son of Minato. And Minato just begins to say, yeah, it's true. Minato ordered Itachi to kill the clan, the Uchiha clan, for no apparent reason. Danzo was doing dirty work at the Leaf Village, working with Orochimaru, who was a rogue ninja, when there was a kill-on-sight order for him. And Minato just again gave even more down. And at this point, everyone can see that he is profusely sweating. Then Naruto began to state that Minato kicked him out of his house when Naruto was just a kid. Actually, I'm going to have just Naruto and Sasuke there. They're going to throw Joigo in them to wait outside, and once they get out, since they don't want to fight anyone right now, but they will in a bit. And then Naruto begins to state that the Madara that they say is the real one isn't the real Madara, he's Madara's subordinate. And then Naruto drops a bomb. He says that the Madara that they all think is Madara is actually Minato's old student. Minato, hearing this, is thinking, who could it be? And then, right when Naruto says Obito, Minato thinks, is it Obito? And Naruto begins to say, it's Obito, the man that caused the Nine-Tailed attack on the village 15 years ago. And Minato just begins to swallow. And he wonders how he's going to break this to Kakashi. And Naruto begins to say it's a shame that Minato couldn't even recognize his own student. Even if he had grown a lot, he should have known his voice or something. But he never had a clue that it was him. And Naruto closes his book, saying that is only one page of the things that the Leaf has done. But he says they should still form their alliance to try and compete with the Akatsuki, since if Madara comes back alive, if they revive Madara like they're planning to do, there could be a disaster for a single village trying to do it. But Naruto then said that he was just trying to expose the village's deepest secrets, to show the villages that they're kind of stupid. He says, oh well, and all the Menma and Mito are going to absolutely be shocked at this, seeing how Naruto just exposed everything that they knew. And Naruto would then begin to smile and say, oh well, I'm leaving. And Sasuke would then, and he said, I think my friend has something to say to you, Kage. And Sasuke began to stand up and began to explain to them. And then he began to say if they gave them Menma Mito, they wouldn't let the masked man get them. They would take the Nine-Tails out, put in a sword, and they would protect the sword, since they're probably the only ones that can compete with the masked man. And Menma looks scared, and honestly at this point, Onoki says that's probably the best shot we got. We do not stand a chance against Madara. And Mito is shaking out of his mind, since his week has been awful. His village was destroyed, Naruto just exposed his darkest secrets, and his sensei's dead. And Mito begins to slam his fist down on the ground, and he said no. And everyone begins to look at Mito, and they said, who said that you get a say? We can't trust the thing you said. Mito began to say, I may have done some bad things, and Naruto said some, you should say a lot. And Minato begins to stare at him. And Minato begins to, kind of shiver. And, Minato begins to say, but we can't just hand it over to him. What shows us they're wearing the robes? What shows us that they're not gonna hand them over to the Akatsuki? Naruto began to say something. Naruto began to say, I know your alternative reason. And I also know the reason why you kicked me out of the house. Well, I know your other reason for, saying that. You still believe in that stupid prophecy. And me and Toe looked shocked. Everyone else looked shocked. And Naruto begins to state that when a toad, Jiraiya the Toad Sage brought home a prophecy one day to their house. Naruto had already been kicked out, but through his network he knew about it. And when a toad has a dream, it's often very rare, so that means that the event is gonna happen. So yeah, they begin to ask how what this prophecy is about. And Naruto begins to state that it's about some people saving the world. He doesn't really remember the context. But he begins to point at Memo Mito. And he says that they don't fit it. And he says that whoever it is, it's not them. And then Naruto begins to walk out. And Sasuke begins to say to the Raikage. Sasuke apologizes to the Raikage, but they were trying to get information for themselves, so they had to do it. But then Sasuke drops a bomb that A is still alive, and that they used a substitute that he actually substituted. That B is still alive, And A looks happy, and Sasuke says they didn't do it because they didn't really feel like killing him. He seemed like a nice guy. And A begins to smile at them. And he actually thanks them, which, everyone is scared of, since A just got the information he needed for, He feels like this just saved his day. And then Naruto and Sasuke leave. Everyone then gets down to business, and they said they should send the Jinchuriki away. And they stare at Minato. And Minato says, sure. Menma isn't gonna argue right now since he has to think. But then he begins to say, what if they sent one of them away and left the other to fight? And then they began to say, well, that probably wouldn't work. They probably only need a small amount of chakra. So yeah, Naruto also began to say that they would say that they would prepare for war, but the Raikage would be in charge, since he is the most trusted. Honestly, the Raikage was the best man for the job, let's be honest. Naruto and Sasuke would then walk out, and they would say, why wasn't there any fighting? And Naruto would state that it wasn't a good opportunity. They wouldn't have made it out. It would have been difficult for them to make it out, since there were multiple Kage-level fighters in the room, and also they twisted some ties so that way. They twisted some strings to get some stuff going in their favor. And so Getsu says, then why do we need to come out here? And Naruto began to state that it was to help them gain trust in the leaf. To help them, they were destroying everyone's, kind of hope in a way. So yeah, they were destroying all the trust that everyone had in the Leaf Village. Because they needed to do that so that way the Leaf Village didn't get in charge. Because that would be bad for them. So yeah, Naruto began to walk away. And, yeah, I'm gonna end it right here. Thank you guys so much, for the support on my channel recently. And, yeah, if you like my videos and you watch them, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed. And, yeah, peace. I'll make part 4 tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Probably release at 10 a.m. Yeah, 10. Yeah. Okay, thank you guys so much for the support, and peace.